E aí, galera, no podcast de hoje vamos falar de...
Ninguém precisa passar por isso hoje em dia. Tá com gases? Luftal. Ele age rapidinho, em 10 minutos, aliviando a dor e estufamento dos gases e evitando o pum. Porque desfaz os gases ainda na barriga. Chega de passar dor e constrangimento por conta disso.
Bora gravar de novo que agora eu tô pronto.
Luftal Simeticona, indicado para pacientes com excesso de gases no aparelho digestivo. Se persistirem os sintomas, o médico deverá ser consultado. Dezembro de 2024.
Sair da escola já com uma formação profissional no currículo? Parece bom demais pra ser verdade, né? Pois é. No ensino técnico do Senac, isso é possível. É ensino médio junto com formação técnica, que acontece durante os 3 anos. Lá, eles usam metodologia para projetos, desenvolvendo competências como resolução de problemas, pensamento crítico e colaboração, além de valores éticos e sustentáveis. Quer saber? Senac. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino médio e saiba mais.
Those texts actually had pictures of the prohibited sites, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, so he wasn't listening to music.
Right.
He was on sites that the program prohibited him to be on.
Not at the time, he wasn't. He had looked at them in the future. Which
so they're past history, you think?
Right, at the time.
Well, either way, they're not supposed to be there, right? So there's a problem.
This is the plaintiff, Gabriella Jones. She says the defendants are her ex-husband and his new wife, and they took her son's cell phone from him and they refused to return it. Well, she called the cops because she owns the phone. They got it back for her, but the phone was destroyed. The defendants broke the phone intentionally with a hammer or something, and she's here suing them for the $600 she's now owed. These are the defendants, Reuben and Amber Jones. Reuben says he shares 2 kids with the plaintiff, and their son is not allowed to have unsupervised internet access on his phone. And she knows he's forbidden to enter his house with a device that allows just that. He confiscated the phone. It accidentally fell onto the driveway and Amber ran over it with her car. Bottom line, the plaintiff shouldn't have purchased a phone for their son, and they owe nothing. They're accused of taking it all out on a phone.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Ms. Jones, you're suing your ex and his wife, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones, for $600, the value of a phone you say they intentionally broke, plus monthly service for 4 months that you have been unable to use that phone, or your son has been unable to use that phone. What's going on here? Tell me what happened.
Okay, so me and my husband, we have 50-50 custody. I got a cell phone for my son that I
How
paid.
old's your son?
He's 15 now, but he was 14 when this happened.
Okay.
I got him a cell phone so I can communicate with him because he's got after-school programs. I need to make sure he knows where he's at, and then he listens to music afterwards. He's supposed to be having internet access with supervision. I explained to him not to bring his phone to his father's house.
Okay, but hold on, back up. This is because those are your parental rules, or this is because of a court order? We don't need to go into why there's a court order.
It's not a court order, but he's in a special program.
And that program insists that he not have unfettered use of the internet.
Right, and then right before this happened, he progressed into the program where he could have a little bit of internet, but it was only...
What's a little bit of internet?
Well, like because he wasn't allowed to have any at all unless he was supervised, and then it let him have a little bit more freedom with it as long as he
I don't know how, that's a black or white issue. It's either he has internet access or doesn't. He doesn't get it for an hour. Which is it?
Well, they said that he can do it. He just can't go on certain programs. If he got caught on certain programs, then
couldn't do it.
Okay, go on.
So anyways, I told him he was not allowed to bring his phone to his father's house at all.
Because the father had made clear he didn't want the phone there, and that he didn't think he should have a phone.
Yes, and I was checking, making sure I didn't go over, but this particular time I did not check. So he did bring the phone to his father's house. He told me that while he was at his father's house, he was listening to music at night, because that's what he likes to do. That's what he uses the internet for, when he was on his AirPods. And they found the phone, they took it from him. I got text messages from Mr. Jones with pictures of him holding the phone and stating that he had taken the phone from him.
Right, and those texts actually had pictures of the prohibited sites, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, so he wasn't listening to music.
Right.
He was on sites that the program prohibited him to be on.
Not at the time, he wasn't. He had looked at them in the future, which we
so they're past history, you think?
Right, at the time.
Well, either way, they're not supposed to be there, right? So
there's
a problem. It's not supervised, right? It's not supervised.
Yes,
and it should be. And so he's angry, and then what happens?
He took the phone from him. He told me he was not going to give me the phone back.
He told who that?
He told me that.
I don't see that in the text. I see the opposite of that in the text.
Well, I told him that I was going to, he can meet me to give me the phone, which he refused to do. And I told him that if he does not meet me to...
Wait, stop a second. Why don't either of you give me the text where you're smack talking at each other? Do you have the text in your phone right?
I have them. It's just that there's a lot of other stuff in between them as well.
Okay,
so,
give me the phone with the text in them. I will decide what is relevant, with the understanding of that we're still trying to protect the identity and issues involving minors. Can you please give me your phone?
Yes, I'm just getting it to the point where it starts.
Can you go over there and make sure she's not deleting anything?
No, I'm not deleting.
No,
anything.
I know, but I don't know you, and I have a bailiff for that. This is the subject of the lawsuit. It's not me being nosy. I need to get to the bottom of what's going on. All right, so this all happens on what day?
It says August 11th.
Wow, the nastiness between you two is exhausting. You two, you are fighting to get, Mr. Jones, you're fighting to get more custody over those children, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You've been to court how many times to ask that?
I couldn't tell you for sure off the top of my head.
1, 2, 4?
It's been about 4 times,
right.
Yes, Your Honor.
And right now the custody is 50-50, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you on August 9th ask her, do you know where our son's phone is right now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you send several pictures of the phone and what you found on the phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm curious, he didn't have a passcode on the phone?
At the time that I confiscated the phone, the passcode wasn't on it.
Okay. So how did you find him on the phone?
He was in his room, and I opened the door and went in this. Well, actually,
it was me.
Actually, I'm sorry. It was my wife.
So you tell me how you found him.
You want the juicy story?
I always want the juicy story, but I want the truth.
So
Go ahead.
I usually, I know teenagers, and I busted in the door, and he's laying in bed up on his phone, and I'm like, hey, actually, I didn't say anything. I just looked at him this boy done tried me, and so then I shut the door, and I go to Dad, Ruben, my husband, and I'm like, you need to go in there and get that phone because he's done brought that raggedy phone over from his mama's house over here, and he knows he's not supposed to have it.
And so what happens? You go in there and what happens?
I go in there and I take the phone.
All right, tell me about the discussion.
I basically told him, you're not supposed to have this over here. I told you, I don't allow you to have a cell phone in my house.
Did it get heated?
Yes, it did get heated. Mm-hmm.
What time of the day or night was this?
I don't remember the exact. It was.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
It was around 10.
Yeah,
okay.
it was in the evening.
Okay, and then what happens?
So I took the phone and I kept it. And at the time that I took the phone, the passcode was not on there.
Right.
Later on, I did ask him for the passcode, and he did give it to me. And I went through the phone because I wanted to see what was on there, what he had been doing, because I knew he was in this program, and there were certain things he was not supposed to be doing.
Right. Did you end up using that to try to get? Did you you conveyed that to the program, right? That your son was. Okay, so her question is, she's kind of saying, why? To give you an edge in the custody thing, or because, you tell me, why?
Well, yes, I did want evidence off of that phone for a custody case, because the rules that he's supposed to be following aren't being followed.
Right.
And pretty much haven't been being followed since day one of him entering the program. He wasn't allowed to have a cell phone with internet access or unsupervised internet access. I have plenty of evidence to show that he's done this on multiple occasions. She's been talked to about it before by his therapist. She was admonished by the family court judge.
How can you possibly have supervisory? Why is it so impossible to have a phone that doesn't have internet access? Is it just impossible? Just don't buy him the kind of phone that has internet access.
I have been talking to his counselor as well, and he was able to have access. We actually had a conversation afterwards, and she said he was not in trouble for it. We explained. She explained why he had looked on those sites again because he had not.
He's not allowed to look on the sites.
I understand.
All right, and there's a good reason. So I don't understand how a counselor could ever have told you, oh, it's okay if he violates the order.
She's in the program. It's the program that he's in.
Yes, I understand. There's no way that, and if they did, they should be fired because it's one thing or the other. There's not, you can dabble a little. That's not allowed. It's either one or the other. And if it's supposed to be supervised, it's supposed to be supervised. Look, at the end of the day, you then say to him at 11:53, after he sent you all those things, you need to meet me tomorrow around 6 at the dollar store to give it to me, or I will call the cops and have them come and get it since you have my possession on you and you aren't paying for, nor is it in your name. And then he doesn't answer you. At 4:46, you say, I contacted the police. If you do not return the phone tonight, I'll be filing a theft charge. And then he says to you, it's not theft, idiot. And he names your son, brought the phone over without my permission, and go ahead and send them. I'll just tell them everything and have a nice detailed police report with our son stating that he brought the phone himself without me knowing. Doesn't matter, you say. I already told them all the info. It's my phone and my name, and you refuse to give it back, and it's theft, and I will press charges. Then you guys go back and forth in a way that I'm not interested in. What happened with the phone? Do you have the phone here?
Yes, I do.
May I have it?
Yes, Your Honor.
She would be able to explain that.
Why don't you tell me what happened with the phone? Are you pondering whether you should tell me the truth or the company line? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe the company line. So just tell me what happened with the phone.
The phone it got ran over. It fell out of my lap. It got accidentally ran over.
Why is the phone on your lap?
Because I was taking it with me to go pick up my kids because it didn't screenshot.
I'm sorry, why are you picking up your kids at 10 o'clock at night?
No, this happened the next day.
Why is it on your lap the next day? Yeah, honey.
What do you mean?
I think you know what I mean. Why are you, according to you, you're getting into the car to drive to pick up your kids. His phone is in your lap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Because we didn't go through it all that night because we're exhausted with the situation.
Yeah, but why is it on your lap? See, I understand your phone being on your lap. Barely. Oh, because that's a bad place to put your phone. I understand if your phone is on your lap when you're in the car because you've been using the phone, and then you get up and I'm like, because I've had that happen.
Do you know that I'm paraplegic?
Yes, I do. I know that you're a paraplegic. Okay. I don't understand why the phone is in your lap. Why is it in your lap and not on the desk in his desk?
Because I have to use my hands to move.
It's the next day. Why is it on your lap at that moment?
Because I have to take pictures of what's on it so he can send it to his lawyer.
Why do you have to do that when you're driving to pick up your kids?
Because I'm going to be in a line.
What you think happened, because this is what your kids say, is that it got smashed with a hammer.
I have my son on the video.
Not that it matters, guys. It really doesn't. It's either you're responsible for the phone or you're not responsible for the phone. Whether it's negligence or a hammer because you're angry.
We were
and
never
your parents,
asked.
Huh?
We were never asked, like, hey, would you like to, we were never given the opportunity.
I shouldn't even be touching this. I touched this and I'm going to end up with little nicks and cuts. So
even replace it. It was never discussed. It just went straight to, I'm calling the cops.
Well, of course it does, because everybody's have you seen how they talk to each other? And have you been part of it too?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
yes. It's
I can't even imagine what it's like for the kid. And then the odd part is that you share 50, well, it's not odd, but you share 50-50 custody. So you're both really hard fighting to try to be part of these kids' lives. And you would think that at some point, how long ago did you guys divorce?
It's been about 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah.
Like you would think that after 9 years, you guys would just be exhausted of the nastiness back and forth. But it's, no, wait, I don't know why you're looking at her. He dishes it out just as much as she does. He calls her an idiot. He does a lot of nasty things. Don't be looking at her like it's her fault. It's both their faults.
Hoje tem show, tem multishow na tela ao vivo em todo lugar. Pra você não perder nada, vem comigo, deixa levar.
Chega pra cá, arrasta o sofá, que o show vai começar.
Hoje tem show, tem multishow.
Pra ouvir, sentir, Deus te
a gente se diverte. Onde tem show, tem multishow. É nós que faz e acontece. Onde tem show, tem multishow.
Interrompemos esse podcast para perguntar: quem você quer ser?
Designer, engenheira,
pedagoga,
administrador.
Quer saber? O Senac EAD é nota máxima no MEC. Tem cursos de diversas áreas, com conteúdo elaborado por especialistas do mercado e professores mestres e doutores. Ainda tem o Senac Carreiras, conectando estudantes a vagas de emprego em todo o país. Saiba mais em ead.senac.br/graduação.
It's both their faults. And you guys need to be adults for your children before they become adults. Because you have a 15-year-old, and how old's the other one?
16.
16. You don't have a lot more time to become adults, you know, and have this be their memory. How often does this come into the children's lives?
A lot.
All the time.
I know. All right, let's talk about this. Now, there are two things you're suing for. The value of the phone, which I will determine the value of the phone in a moment. But you're also suing for monthly service unused, August through November, $50 a month. I've looked at your phone bills, and I don't see where you get that, so you're going to have to elucidate me.
I spend about $291 with...
No, I don't want you to talk. Okay. I want you to show me evidence that his line costs $50 a month in usage. Because that's what you're suing.
I have lines on my phone, and I broke it up by how many lines I have on there by the bill, and that's what it came up to. It was about $50 a month.
How many phones do you have?
I have 5.
And you pay $250 a month in usage?
$291.
Okay, let me see your phone bill and see what you have. Because his line is included. It's not even part of the... And his line certainly isn't $50 a month.
All of them have unlimited text and data, and it's all the same. And then it's also because I'm paying on his phone as well. So
that's different. That's a different issue because you're going to get the value of the phone at the time of the bad.
Okay.
The bad happened on August 9th or 10th or whatever it was. So you get the value of that phone, depreciated value of that phone at the time that that happens. That's what you get. That's one issue. Another issue, okay, is wasted money keeping the line open when you haven't been able to use it because nobody offered you the money for that phone, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Show me where, circle where. I realize what that says here. This is a total. This isn't for each phone. So circle where I should look to see that his phone is $50 a month in usage.
I don't have anything to show.
No, you don't, because
his
his phone isn't $50 a month in usage, okay? I'm not going to order them to pay the monthly usage because there is no evidence of what his monthly usage is, and $50 is not. It's not on there. That's just, you just pulled that number out of the sky. So now it's the value of the iPhone SE. Which iteration is it? It's
the second generation.
Second generation. I know that if you buy a brand new one that's not used today, it would be $400, but that's not what you had. You had a used one that's a second generation, I think they're on the 4th generation of that.
They're in the 3rd.
Third generation of that. So you understand that it has to be depreciated value, right? Of course, when I'm setting that depreciated value, I'm also going through my head whether that was done by accident or on purpose, but really, I'm not. It's just the depreciated value. You know, and I can't even if it was done on purpose, as I sit here and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, the guy really doesn't want the kid with phone, internet, unsupervised access. And maybe you shouldn't either.
Right.
Okay? I know he's 15 and whatever, and you want to, you know, it's a push me, pull me on the liberty that you give, but he kind of lost that liberty, and you have to kind of follow the rules after that, you know? All right. I am ruling in your favor in the amount of $200, the appreciated value of the phone at the time that it is walked. Good luck.
Wow.
So the plaintiff gets $200 for the telephone. She was suing for $600, but she doesn't get that. Let's see what the defendants have to say. Ruben and Amber Jones are out of the courtroom now. Folks, what's your reaction to what the judge just decided?
Bottom line is, if he was being supervised, or my son was being supervised the way he should have been being supervised, and this is not the first time this has happened, he wouldn't have ever had the phone at my house in the first place, and this whole incident would have never even taken place.
Just before the case ended, you held your hand up like you wanted to ask the judge something. What'd you want to ask her? Do you remember?
At what point is Gabriella Jones, or Gabriella, going to be held accountable for her actions as a parent? At what point?
Well, that's not the issue that was here before the judge. It was.
If she would not have, if she would have been supervising him as a parent, like she was supposed to, that was in the contract that she signed, then the phone never would have ended up at our house, correct? Because she would have it in her possession. Okay.
All right. Well, this phone issue has become a big thing between the two of you.
It is.
Or the three of you.
Yeah.
I guess you're just going to have to work out the best you can. But in any event, this phone, you have to pay her back, and you have to give her $200 for it. And good luck from now on, okay?
All right. Thank you.
So let's see how the plaintiff feels about that issue. She wanted $600 for the phone, but she didn't get it because the phone wasn't worth it. She only gets $200. Ms. Jones, how do you feel about the outcome of this case? What's your reaction?
I'm just thankful that I get something back for the phone, even if it's not the full amount that I asked for.
So do you think this lawsuit is going to help end this dispute between you guys? Are you going to keep a closer eye on your son?
Yeah, he's not going to get his phone back while he's involved in that program still. And as far as me and him, no, I don't think it's going to resolve anything.
No, all right. Well, good luck, all right? All right, Harvey, that's the judge's decision. What's yours? What do you think?
So, Doug, this is something that has always bugged me for all these years in the People's Court. You know, when you get the depreciated value of an item, that doesn't help a lot when you have to replace the item and it costs 5 times what you got in court. But the reality is that is the law. That is the value of the damage at the time of the loss, and that's simply the way it is.
What was your first car?
A 1978 Toyota Celica hatchback, which I drove.
That's a great car.
From the time I was 16, turning 17, until many years into being a lawyer. I kept that car for like 10 or 11 years.
You know what? That's the sweet spot around 1978 when Toyota started to figure out we're building them too good. They never break. Nothing breaks on these cars. And then maybe they put a little more planned obsolescence into the cars.
But I keep my cars a long time, much to your chagrin, because you're a car guy and I am
you marry your
drive
cars.
the cheapest
You
car you can is the one you're driving.
Until I force you to change cars.
Yeah. And I would keep them all for a decade or more. We have one car that's 21.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Almost 22.
Yeah.
My first car that I actually had that I owned, I guess, was an old Plymouth Fury. It was 1970 something. And my father brought it home one day. Somebody must have given it to him, right? I don't think he paid for it because it didn't have, the brakes didn't work. It had 4 bald tires. The air conditioner didn't work. The steering was really crappy. Suspension was everything was messed up on the car. I remember driving it down the road and the belts were coming through the tires. So as you were driving, if you're driving slow, you'd hear it go whap, 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 because every time it would make a revolution, those belts, they were sticking right off the wheel.
What was your dad thinking?
Well, eventually I replaced the tires, but yeah, that was one beat up bad car. But you never forget your first.
No, you don't.
Enquanto você escuta seu podcast favorito, que tal dar uma olhada nos looks da Riachuelo para as festas de fim de ano? Brilhos, transparências, vestidos, conjuntos, temos tudo para todos os eventos. Aqui, toda festa começa com look.
This is the plaintiff, Najahana Carranza. She says the defendant's her nephew, and she loaned him money to get his car fixed, and then to get a new phone. Well, nephew or no nephew, it's been almost 2 years, and she hasn't been paid back. She wanted to help her nephew out, but the guy needs to be taught a lesson in responsibility. So she's here suing him here and now for the $779 she's most definitely owed. This is the defendant, Alexander. He says he saved the plaintiff almost $700 on a new phone because he used his employee discount at the electronics store he works at, and they're now even. He also repaired a car for free. A family's supposed to help one another out, and his aunt is being very petty by suing him today. He's accused of causing a family fallout.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she loaned her nephew money for car repair and a new cell phone, and her nephew stiffed her. Family or no family, she's suing him. But the defendant says he and his dear aunt are even because he got her a new phone with his huge employee discount and owes her nada. It's the case of you're a real phony.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Carranza, you were suing your nephew, who wants to go by Alexander, Mr. Alexander, for $779 that you say you loaned him and he refuses to repay. Tell me what's going on.
I had loaned him on 2 separate occasions, one for his car, which was $600, and again for his phone that he had broken for $179.
Okay.
So
when did you loan him that money?
December of 2020.
All right, and under what circumstances did you loan him the money? Was he supposed to pay you back?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was he supposed to pay you back?
I didn't really give him a time frame. He said that he would pay me back when he had received his taxes, which would be around February, March of 2021.
All right, and did he?
No.
Did he tell you anything about the taxes, or did he?
Yes, he did. He said he never received them.
Okay, so then what happens?
So,
time goes on, and do you tell him, hey, you still owe me the money?
Yes, I did, but between that time and the time that was going by, he had gotten into a car accident, so I was being lenient because he still had to pay that car off.
How often would you see him?
About every week.
Okay. And would that be because you would visit whoever? He's your nephew, how?
My sister.
Sister's son. Mm-hmm. So is that because you were visiting your sister, or the two of you would visit, or?
Oh, no, he would come and pick her up because we take care of her other 2 children.
Okay.
So he would pick her up, come to our house, and that's how we would run into each other. When I brought up on several occasions to pay me back, he refused.
What would he say?
He would say, well, we're even. Me and my mom help you guys out.
Why?
I guess because he got me a phone. He used his discount.
To get you a phone, and that's how he supposedly paid you back?
Correct.
Was that ever part of the deal?
No, ma'am.
You just said, hey, nephew, can you get me a discount? And he did? And
no, he offered to use the discount.
He said, hey, you want a discount? Because I'm working at this particular place, so I can get you a discount on your phone. And you said, yeah, that sounds good. And then after that, he tells you, we're even.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. When was it after you got the phone that he said we're even? Was there anything else he was throwing in your face?
Yes. He had also helped me get a credit card.
Okay.
So he said we're even again.
Okay. So. Mr. Alexander, let me hear from you. Did you borrow $600 for a car?
I did.
600.
500.
500 or 600?
500.
Was it 500 or 600?
I borrowed $500 in cash.
Okay. When I asked you if you borrowed 600, you said I did. And then I said, okay, 600, and then you said 500. Was it 600 or 500?
It was 600, ma'am.
Was it 600 or 500?
500.
Okay, does anybody have any proof of what it was?
My mom was there when I went to go to the bank to get it out the bank because I gave her
How's your mom going to remember how much money you took out of the bank?
I showed her the receipt. I don't have the receipt with me because I took out additional monies with that.
Okay, so how would she know how much you loaned him?
She was there when we had the transaction.
Did she stood there and watched you count it?
No.
Right. So.
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
She was there when he asked for the 600.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it at the time.
So what's his relation to her? Anything?
My grandson.
Oh, that is
this
your
is
grandson.
my mother.
Oh, okay, I got it. And then you asked her for another loan for a phone, $179?
That is correct.
Okay. And why and they were always loans. The idea was you were going to pay her back, right?
That is true.
So have you paid her back?
I have not.
Okay. And why haven't you paid her back?
I haven't paid her back because I believe that we're even. I help them, they help me. I've saved them a lot of money over time, too. So.
How does that pay off a loan, though?
I mean, it was more of like a verbal agreement. It was family.
Wait, verbal agreement? Did she say, if you get me a phone, you don't have to pay me back?
No, but she did ask for a discount.
When she says, hey, can you get me a discount? Do you ever say, if I get you a discount, then I don't owe you the money? Did that come up?
Actually,
it was just understood in your head?
So it's come up multiple times. I'm like, well, this could contribute towards what I...
No. It comes up after the fact, and you say, we're done. That's not her agreeing to it. Did she ever say, if you get me a phone, you won't have to pay me back?
That is not true, but I did bring it up before transactions and after.
Did she ever say, if you get me a phone and get me a discount, you won't have to pay me back?
No, Your Honor.
Right. You know that. I know that. Your grandma knows that because your grandma's ready to jump to that side. Do you have a good relationship with your grandmother?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
We joke around.
She's kind of mad.
Yeah, they're always mad.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this is unique.
No, they're always
You
mad.
think that she's being petty taking you to court. She thinks you're being petty not paying back the loan. And mentioning, like, you know, what, that you got her a discount? Big deal. Did you get the commission on it?
Actually, where I work, we don't get commission on anything.
Okay, so what skin off your nose was that you got her a discount?
Well, because she asked me for it and because she wanted a newer device at that time, so I
So
insisted on
what?
getting
So why would that mean you don't have to pay back, you know, $779 or $679?
Because every single time they ask me to help them, I help them with something.
Okay, such as what? So there's the discount on the phone, and what else?
There's the discount the phone, there's the trade-in guidance, helping them with making sure that, oh, you're getting the right price for what you're actually paying for, and then helping them
That's still the same phone, right?
Yeah, that's still the same phone. And then the timelines are also kind of messed up too, because like the car crashed before the $500 was given. That was like November 2020, because I crashed my car, was going through some stuff, and then actually, and the price of the car was like $900, so I shelled out $400. That's why I remember it being $500 that I asked for, which I have right here.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't tell me how much you shelled out and how much she shelled out.
That is also true.
Okay, but in any event, whether she gave you $500 or $600, there is no question that when you needed money, the person you went to was your aunt, and your aunt loaned you money, not gifted you money, loaned you money, and you were supposed to pay her back, right?
That's correct.
Then why haven't you paid her back? Just because you got her a discount?
Well, because I also didn't get my tax money that year or the year after, so.
So when she says that your excuse was, I didn't get my tax money, that's truthful. You did tell her you'd pay back with tax money, and then you didn't get your tax money.
That is correct.
Okay, and why didn't you get your tax money?
Because I was dealing with things with like the IRS and stuff. They like held it.
Such as what?
So like they held my like refund or whatever, and then.
Because what? Did you have a judgment against you?
No, I did not.
Okay, do you have child support?
No, I do not.
So why did the IRS keep your money?
I'm not sure.
Well, what did they say is the reason?
It kept going to default code every time I went to the website, and then trying to get on the phone with them was a hassle, so I never actually figured out why.
Actually, you know, ironically, and I can't stand customer service anywhere, the IRS is remarkably easy to get a hold of, I found. You know, it's just a half-hour wait. That's nothing compared to in comparison to everything else in the world. So I'm kind of not buying that. But in any event, do you have any proof besides your mama of how much you get? Like no text, nothing. You didn't have.
I have proof for the $179.
Yeah, no, but that one's not in dispute. It's the $500 versus the $600.
No, Your Honor.
No. All right. When he told you, well, I'm not paying you back because you got a discount, I presume you did not take that well.
No, Your Honor.
What happened?
Yes, initially when I filed, he was very disrespectful. He came to my house yelling very disrespectfully to his grandmother and I didn't really take that very well because I'm already under a lot of stress. I'm behind on bills. I have a baby on the way. And I just wanted to put it behind us because, you know, after this, our relationship is very fractured right now. We don't communicate. It's not the same.
Did you know she had a baby on the way?
Not until recently. I got a text message out of nowhere, like, hey, do you want to come to this? And I politely declined.
Have you always had a good relationship with her?
It's been on and off throughout, like, childhood. Yeah.
What's the age difference between you two?
She's like...
I'm 29, he's 21.
I'm 21.
So it's not, okay.
Yeah, we kind of grew up together.
Right.
And which that's what hurt me the most. He grew up in our house, and you know we were very close growing up. We would go on vacations together and stuff like this. For him to do this to me, it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Might I say something?
Yes.
The reason why I went to the house after finding out everything was because there was no warning. She didn't tell me that anything was being filed.
Why did she have to warn you? She already asked you for the money back, and you said, I'm not paying you. What more is there?
but like she didn't give me any time frames or anything. Like if she asked, like,
well, you already said you weren't going to pay her.
Okay.
So what time frame? She would give you time frame to not pay her?
Well, I
like
mean,
in other words, there are consequences for your actions too. You know, I mean,
I understand.
Right. You know, I agree with you. I would expect somebody to say, if you don't pay me, I'm going to sue you. However, they don't have to. They don't have to. You know, because you're the guy who borrowed the money and said, I got you a phone, so now I'm not paying you. I mean, that's kind of petty. Right?
That's true, but I also helped them with their car every time they needed assistance with that. Roadside calls aren't cheap. I just had to get a roadside call yesterday, and they've tried to charge me $150 just to come out and jump
So
a
you
car.
feel because you have done, so when you keep saying they, like you're grouping your grandmother in the same, like they're the same person. So if you do something for one, the other one has to count it towards a debt, as opposed to that you just did something for your grandmother or you did something for your aunt?
So the reason why I group them as they is...
Dude, come on, man. Seriously, just stop and listen to yourself.
Yeah. The reason why I group them as they, though, is because every single time I have an issue with one, then the other one has an issue suddenly. So that's the only way.
Right, but look at what we've got here. If you loaned a friend of yours money and then the friend mowed your lawn, you're not feeling well, let me mow your lawn. Hey, now we're even. What would you think of that friend? That's what you're doing to your aunt. I mean, that's ridiculous. Unless she agreed that you would be even, you're not even. You don't get to say what pays back $779. You know what pays back $779? $779. That's what pays it back. You see? I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff in the entire amount of the $779.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, both sides, hold on, please.
So the plaintiff prevails. She's going to get everything she was suing for, $779. Alexander, the defendant's on his way out of the courtroom. Let me ask you first, what's your reaction to the judge's decision?
It is what it is, for the most part.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. The judge had a completely reasonable stance, so I think that was fair. I just think that I could have said a little bit more than I did.
Well, you could have paid her back.
I could have done that too.
So what about the relationship now? As far as she's concerned, it's really kind of fractured, seriously. You understand that?
I understand. I also feel the same way about that. It is what it is, because it's always been in and out with her in my life. So it is what it is.
All right. Yeah. It is what it is. The exit is that way. So the plaintiff is on her way out of the courtroom. What can you say? Huh?
I hope my nephew and I can repair our relationship. You know, we've grown up together, and it's really sad that money had to come between our relationship.
And how about you? How do you feel about it? Are you really upset with him?
I am, because when I sent her on vacation, he went with her. So we have 6 sisters.
Yeah.
I have 6 sisters.
Yeah.
They have 6 aunts. They would go to Texas, Arizona, spend the summer. He's close with all his cousins. I mean, you know, we are a big family.
It's a big disappointment to both of you,
Yeah.
right?
Very, very.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry about that, but you got what you're suing for.
Yes.
$779, and you should be happy.
I am.
Very
Thank you.
3 cheers for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, Harvey.
Doug, if you think you can cancel out your debt with something else you gave the other person, I got to tell you, you got to make that really clear.
Did either of you ever have to work the night court shift?
Thankfully, there was never a night court during my reign as a judge,
There never
nor
was
during yours,
yeah.
right? We never had to do that.
No.
I mean, sometimes you'd hold a jury in a jury trial until midnight or
Yeah, that's different. But we don't actually have court that starts at night in Miami.
No, never did.
Yeah.
But we were both prosecutors.
Right.
You were a state prosecutor, I was a federal prosecutor, and part of what goes along with that is
warrant duty
and weekend emergency warrant duty.
So you get woken up at 2 in the morning. We need a warrant. The same thing happened when you were a judge.
Right.
When we were judges, we would have to sign the warrant.
Right. Because people
when we were prosecutors, we'd have to help write the warrant.
Right. Because local police or federal agents, they might sit on a house and then actually hit the house in the middle of the night for whatever reason, or there could be a crime that occurs at 2 or 3 in the morning and they want to get a search warrant for a crime scene inside of a house, inside of a vehicle, inside of a business, and boom, your pager would go off, right?
Yeah, remember pagers?
Yes, I do. You get a beep on your pager. I remember one night after we'd been together only for a couple of years, you waking me up at like 2 or 3 a.m. and saying, listen, I got to go to a crime scene. You want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come along. I get in the car with you, and we drive into this neighborhood, and we get out of the car. There's police lights everywhere. We walk right through underneath the crime scene tape, and you had a notepad and some stuff, and there's a detective or a cop right there, and he said, yeah, this guy, there's a checkerboard turned over in front of the store, some beer cans laying there, and blood spatter everywhere, little things marking casings from bullets on the ground. And the guy looks at you and he goes, yeah, they're playing checkers, they got a little dispute here, this guy pulls out a gun on that guy, boom, 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 and he's DRT. And you're writing this stuff down, and you're just bouncing. So I walk back over to you as we're going back to the car a little bit later, and I go, what the heck is DRT? And you said?
Dead right there.
Dead right there.
Which is not a thing, it's just an insider thing when it's not dead on arrival at the hospital.
Right, different from DOA,
right.
DRT. He was dead right there. And yeah, it was kind of a grim thing to endure at 3 a.m.
It's funny because I do not remember, I am now remembering that happened, but if you would have asked me if you ever went on a crime scene with me, I would have said no, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, I did. You don't forget something like that. You don't forget the checkerboard upside down.
Well, we prosecuted very different crimes. In state court, you prosecute violent crimes. Your crimes were paper crimes. They were,
for the most part,
drug crimes. But the actual like crazy scene is not something you would see. Everything was like after the fact, historical. So you had less of a stomach.
So-called reactive crimes.
No, not reactive crime, which
not
is what
as often. We had some, but not as often. Even the bank robberies. By the time they got to the feds, the bank robbery
everything was
committed
secure,
months ago.
Yeah,
it was committed months ago. It's the locals and the state authorities who are there usually.
That's why my job was so much sexier.